Welcome everyone to session number 15. Today we will discuss roles and responsibility and what is the role and responsibilities in M&E department and what are their role in M&E plan. As we had discussion in the previous lesson that when we would like to prepare monitoring, evaluation, accountability, and learning plan for the M&E department. For the first time, we must understand our project, and this was our first step. And we had a discussion on details. And the second step was to choose indicators. We had discussion on the indicators, that how to select strong indicators and which criteria will be how the indicators and how to choose indicators. For example, choose mix quantitative and qualitative and monitoring and evaluation indicators. And the third step is how to, when we select indicators, how to measure the indicators. And we had discussion on this. And also we had step 4 in the previous lessons, and that was like as to how to create tools for our indicators. And today we will discuss about the role and responsibilities and what's roles and responsibilities in M&E plan. So we will discuss this. Before this, we will have some key terms, and then we will explain the roles and responsibilities. So key terms, we have some key terms. The first key term is a role. What is the meaning of role? Role meaning a job or position. And simply, role meaning the position that we hire in the organization. That's like as role. For example, you're monitoring and evaluation officer, so your role is monitoring and evaluation officer. Or you are like as M&E manager, your position is M&E manager in the organization, so your role is M&E manager. So this is a simply definition of the role. Role is called a job or position. Second key term is responsibility. Responsibility meaning a task or activity that we should carry it out in the every department. For example, in any department, you have the responsibility to carry out the activity, like as you must enter the data, for example, or you data analyst, or you are reporting officers. So this is your responsibility. The third key term is data management. Data management, all of the process for collecting, storing, organizing, accessing, analyzing, and using data. So I mean all these processes called data management. It means that we start from collection and then storing, organizing, and analyzing and using of the data. These all processes are called data management, and this is the simple definition of data management as well. And the fourth key term is collation. Collation meaning to organize data by type. It means that when we organize data by type, that is like as collation. For example, all of the responses to the same question may be grouped together. Simply, for example, if we have training sessions, and there we have, for example, different male and female participants, and after data collection we start our analysis, that how many males were there and how many females were there. So this process is called collation. It means that we organize data by type. The final key term is archiving. Archiving meaning storing data that will be like as in hard format, and that will be like as in sub format. For example, we have different shared drive, or we have different files, and like as we have uh, privacy of the data. So that is called archiving, simply meaning that we have storing of the data is called archiving. These were the key terms, and now we will have a discussion on roles and responsibilities. We had discussion on the mini plan in the previous lessons, and now we would like to only discuss these two questions. These two questions are very important and play significant roles in this lesson. So for the first, the question is, what are the responsibilities, the tasks that we will need to be completed? So this is the first question, that for example, our responsibilities, and who are the people who will take on these responsibilities, and what are their roles. Simply, when we would like to answer these two questions, so this need, for example, to some processes, and here we can share the issue of data management. So as we know that the email department deals always with data, so for this purpose, our roles and responsibilities are to manage the data. So data management play a significant role, and through data management we define roles and responsibilities. For example, who collect the data? This is for example, field monitors. The role is field monitor, and data collection is the responsibilities. And then the data entry, and like as that will be the responsibilities of data entry officers to enter the data. And like as analysis of data, that would be like as the role of data analyst to analysis the data and then report it to, for example, managers. The manager will share data with, for example, with donors and local governments. So these are all called roles and responsibilities chart, and we must prepare it, and the people of that to prepare this role and responsibility charts, we must understand about data management process. So for this purpose, we will have short discussion on data management process. The data management process is also called the data factory. It means that we compare the data management process to a conveyor belt in factory. For example, the conveyor belt brings some raw materials, and then it changes to a grid shape in useful products. For example, like that will be if like as wood, cars, bottles, and different things that we produce in our factory. And the same way, the data management process is like as the data factory. So, for example, we collect data like as raw materials, and then we conveyor, like as in conveyor belt, we bring some chains. For example, we organize data, we enter data and clean it, and then we start our analysis and use the data, for example, and we visualize the data in different tables and charts, and use the data for different purposes. So these charts and tables are, for example, our useful products. So the data management process is very important, and through that we can define our role and responsibilities. This is a good example that we can share here. For example, the first step is data collection, and when we the field monitor collect data, or enumerator, or like as facilitators, social workers, and then the data become entry, and after entry collation. So collation, as we define the collation, that we organize it all by type. So collation nowadays, when we start our entry, like as in the different databases, like as SQL, they will automatically start collation. They will organize data on to their relevant indicators. It means that the same data will be under the same indicators. So we can have collation and like as manually. And so the second step is like as data entry and collation. That is like as in the conveyor belt. And the third step is data analysis, verification, and storage. Uh, when we enter the data to the system, and then we had collation. After that, we will have analysis and verification and storage. And the final step is to use the data. So we will have data usage. These are like a conveyor belt. We start our raw material, and then we had a good products. This is called a data management process. And four steps. So data collection, now we will discuss this one by one. Data collection, the we already explored, and we had full discussion on this in the previous lessons, that we have to select data collection methodologies, for example, like as focus group, like a survey, like as interview and observation. And there were advantage and disadvantage of every methods of the data collection. And we had a full discussion on this in the previous lesson, so there will be no need. Only we had bring this like as what so the first step is data collection. Step second is like as data entry and collation. When we collected data, then we must enter data to the databases like as the MI system that established or created by the ME department joined with MIS division. So for different purpose, we can start our entry and separate sheet, for example, simply. And also we have like as very modern and digital databases, like as that will be for example established in the MSQL, JavaScript, and different, and that will be like as online. We have different systems to develop our MI system, and then we have data entry. And then collation, as we call that, we organize data by type. If we would like to manually enter the data to Excel separate sheet, so we must consider the columns, that every data must be at the same columns as like as collation. And to organize the data by types, if that is like as digital databases, so there will be no need to worry about the collation, because that will be automatically happening. And the collation will be happening automatically, and they will place data under the same indicators. The third step is data analysis. When we start our entry and collation, after that we start our analysis and verify and storage the data. So for this purpose, different organizations use different data analysis tools. For example, in some organization we use Excel sheets, and in some organization they use Google Data Studio, SPSS, Stata, and like as in agencies they use Power BI, which is very good tools for the analysis in these or the softwares. And so data analysis is belong to our concept, our use, and our expectations of the organization. Also, it is belong to the capacity of the organization that have the do their analysis. We must be very, for example, thoughtful that what should be reflect and what are important, and the data analysis, which indicator should be analysis and which manners. So the step three is very important, and this is a need, for example, to different softwares and great capacities to have the data analysis. And final step is to data use. Data use meaning that when start our analysis, then we must use the data. So simply data use for different purposes, but actually here I place it that we use data, for example, for four purposes, and these are like as very commons. The first step is like as tip is like to when we create reports, like that will be like as monthly, quarterly, or annual reports. We use data. Which data that we start analysis, then we use the data. Communicating outcomes to the community. For example, we always working with communities. So the first line is community or the beneficiaries, and what we set our outcomes, then we share it with community that which outcome we have promised to deliver these services. Also, the third one is making project management decisions. When we would like to make decisions, for this purpose, we use data, the analysis data. And the first step is helping to design future projects. Now, for example, we have a project and we would like to implement same projects or like as different project in the future. For this purpose, we start analysis and then we use the data. So these are very important that we must, for example, analysis the data very thoughtful and very careful that what should we reflect in our data analysis and which software and technology we use for the data analysis. So as I have mentioned that the roles and responsibilities had close relationship with data management process. So and now when we understand about the data management process, that how to collect the data, who will be the responsible, entry, verification, for example, analysis and data use. For this purpose, we here explain the data flow maps. Data flow maps mean when we deal with the data management and role and responsibilities. So we must understand that what is our data flow maps, how the data is in the come to organizations, and on which streams or on which way the data is flow to our organization. So simply data flow map is a very good exercise to, for example, to visualize our data management process and to understand about the some part complexity and like as to understand about their different factors that how the data come to our organization. So here I have a simple data flow map on the HIV testing and or vulnerable children OVC. That's like as the project and they have prepared the data flow map. You can share different data flow map, and also you can find different data flow map in the Google or in the Google search or in a different organization websites. So simply right now I would like to understand about the data flow map, which is very good exercise. Therefore, the role and responsibilities in data management process are belong to our data flow map. So in the data flow map, the first one, for example, we have here two field officers and two community health workers, for example. So they collect data. One field officer collect HIV testing and counseling records, and the second field officer collect anti-retroviral, for example, treatment records. So uh, these are, for example, their jobs. They collect data and then they enter data on weekly basis. And then we have, for example, community health workers, and also they collect data. For example, they collect participant in tech forums. They full daily basis participant in tech forums, and also they enter data on daily basis. Field officer enter data on weekly basis, but community health workers enter data on daily basis. So now when they started their entry and finalized their entry, then the project manager dropped reports, adjust plans, organize data quality checked. For example, if there was some mess in the data, for example, they will back sent to field officers and community health workers. And after that, when the project manager completed their and started drop the reports and finalize it, then he sent reports to director of the organization. The director of the organization review reports, prepare feedback, and then share with the project manager. And after their discussions, internally discussion, they finalize the report, and then the report share with, for example, on quarterly basis with the board of directors. For example, every NGO has board of directors, and then the quarterly feedback meeting, the report share with community leaders. That therefore we share the community with the report result with community leaders, because we work with in the communities with people. So on the annual basis, for example, this is a very good data flow map. We send annual report to government and donors. So everyone can prepare their data flow map for their organization, and this is a very good practice that how the data is flow to our organization on in which stream, for example. And what are their rules? Okay, so for this purpose, it's very important. And when we have data flow map, then we can share, for example, our data management process, data management. We can easily start our data management process, and then we can easily define roles and responsibilities chart. So now we have, for example, a very good practice to create your own data flow map. For this purpose, that it's very great tools, and it's very important, and especially in the organization and mini department. So for this purpose, like us to look very professional, you must have uh, created your data flow map. And the first time that will be like as in the shift file, and then like that will be as digitally, and you must place this data flow map in your mini plan. uh, so here we have some tips. For example, this is the data flow map created by our team. So for the first, for example, there is we used sticky notes, whiteboards, and markers. On the sticky note, for example, a review of local government business records, and the second activity or second tools that we collect our data is participant survey. We collect these data, participant survey, on monthly basis, and review our local government business records also conducted on monthly basis. Mean we collect data on monthly basis, and we have used sticky notes, and then we have writing on the marker on whiteboards. And then also we have field officers enter data on weekly basis. Also he collect data and participant tracking forms. Then this data shared with the field officer data shared only with two persons, project managers in mini teams. Okay, and the project managers review data weekly, for example, and draft reports within a mini team. Yeah, they have a close coordination, and also this data is shared with the mini team. Mini, for example, access to data. So they collect data, and then the mini send this is on monthly basis to what is organization. For example, who is organization receivers. So and then for example they send annually the reports to the project manager also send, and the immunity team also send annually data. Project manager to share, for example, from has aspect, and the immunity share their data from their expectation and their aspects with directors. Then the director shared with donors and local governments. So these are like as when you did this practice on the whiteboard sticky notes, then you can start like as in digital figure, you can share this with your organization, and then you will understand about the roles and responsibilities of the person, and you can also develop roles and responsibility charts that to which person has which role and responsibility in any department, especially in data management process. And data management process we can easily develop from data flow map. So thank you.